come to the end of the Brics Summit, which has been hugely successful. We as South Africa are very pleased with the way the Brics Summit succeeded in achieving the many objectives that we had in mind. Firstly, it was one of the most well-organized summits as articulated by the heads of state of the BRICS countries. They had a sense that the arrangements were really top class. The venue worked extremely well for everyone. The logistics were flawless, and the way the discussions, the various segments of discussions were organized were extremely well done, and everything worked to time. The timekeeping was absolutely wonderful. And I guess because they had a timekeeping chairman. So that's how it worked for us. The significance of the BRICS Summit for us is that we had 40% of the world population represented here in Johannesburg, in South Africa. So for that, it's a great honor for us as South Africa that we could organize a summit that brought together representatives of so many people in the world. 26% of the global land was represented here, if you like, and the countries that were here also represented 22% of the world's GDP. And the share of world trade was represented here at 17%. And almost all regions, if you like, in the world were also represented. We had the African Union here, represented by the chair of the African Union, Mr. Paul Kagame was here, and the East African community was also represented. There are 6 countries that make up the East African community. They were here as well. CARICOM in the Caribbean, represented by the Prime Minister of Jamaica, Honorable Mr. Holness, represents 15 countries in the Caribbean. ECOWAS in the west of the African continent is also here, represented by the President of Togo, represents 14 countries. SADC, of course, was also here, also ably represented by myself, but also by the incoming chairperson, Dr. Hage Geingob, the President of Namibia. And we also had President Erdogan of Turkey representing the Organization of Islamic Cooperation, which represents 57 countries, and ECAS, also here in Central Africa, representing 6 countries, and indeed, NEPAD as an organization was also here. And all in all, we had 31 heads of 31 countries represented through 21 heads of state. So it was one of the most representative BRICS Summit, which everyone who participated truly appreciated. And for us as South Africa, we felt the need to go beyond just the BRICS plus countries or organizations or regions of the world, but also to go beyond just the outreach. We felt the need to be truly representative of Africa in BRICS. When we took up our membership in BRICS as South Africa, we felt that we were representing the African continent, and that we would use our participation in BRICS as leverage for African countries and advocate the development and progress of the African continent. And this time round, we feel that we did in more than one way achieve that, because we also brought together the various countries in SADC, and they felt welcomed in South Africa and also to be part of BRICS. And through that, the various countries were able to network, to have bilaterals with the various countries in BRICS, which we support and promote because as South Africa, we are clear and firm on the collective development of our continent. We see ourselves very much as representing Africa in many of the things that we do, and that is what drives our foreign and international policies. And the BRICS itself discussed a wide variety of issues as we met as the 5 countries in BRICS. We discussed the need to safeguard and strengthen the multilateral system. In fact, we took a fairly firm stance against protectionism and felt that we need to do everything we can to strengthen the multilateral system in the world, which is now under attack, and there are many attempts to weaken it. We re-endorsed our belief in the centrality of the United Nations as the global organization entrusted with maintaining international peace and security and advancing global development and promoting and protecting human rights. We felt very strongly that there should also be a comprehensive reform of the international multilateral system, particularly at the United Nations level, including the Security Council. And we confirmed our commitment to the World Trade Organization as the most effective mechanism available to ensure a rules-based, transparent, non-discriminatory, open and inclusive multilateral trading system. The BRICS countries are determined to work together to be at the leading edge of the fourth industrial revolution, to mitigate the risks and seize the opportunities of this new industrial age. And we once again, through the decisions that we took, confirmed that BRICS is not a talk shop. It is a forum of 5 countries that want to see action and that want to see the decisions that they take implemented. We have demonstrated that already. We set up a new development bank, and this has made an impressive start with great plans for expansion. The summit agreed on the establishment of a BRICS Women's Forum as one of the mechanisms through which to promote the empowerment of women in all the BRICS countries. The summit also endorsed the establishment of a BRICS vaccine center in South Africa. And as South Africa, we are particularly pleased and honored that the BRICS countries saw right to establish a vaccine center for the BRICS countries, and this vaccine center obviously will be a vaccine center that will do a lot of research for the advancement of humanity as a whole. So it is going to be based here in South Africa, and we are therefore extremely pleased. And the BRICS Summit also endorsed the establishment of a BRICS Tourism Tract, and this is with a view of promoting people-to-people cooperation, because we felt that there is a lot that can be achieved through our peoples in the 5 countries traveling and commuting to each other's countries. And so therefore we see tourism as an area that needs to be promoted hugely. It was also agreed that sport, culture, and the arts and collaboration among civil society actors, academics, business, labor, and other youth have the ability to promote cohesion and understanding. And we ended up by saying we would like to see iterations such as the BRICS Games being put more firmly on the table. For instance, we should have a BRICS football challenge or competition. We should even have traditional games also being promoted through BRICS. we should have cinematography, our own film festivals, as well as music festivals, and we will want to promote these during the time when the Brics Summit is held or at other times. So Brics is truly a forum that is alive with a lot of innovative ideas. We keep on coming up with lots of initiatives that are giving meaning and life to Brics. Brics in the end is not just a talk shop, it's not just a forum where we just talk and end up with nothing that flows from there in terms of implementation. It is a Brics Summit that is truly alive, and we want it to spread and have an impact on our people as a whole. And the fact that we also have these outreach programs means that we are broadening cooperation, collaboration, and dialogue, because we believe as Brics that in the end we want to see a world that is operating on the basis of cooperation, win-win solutions being found, collaboration, as well as solidarity, so that whatever we do, we should seek to promote the interests of the people who live in Brics. So all in all, we had a most successful Brics Summit, and possibly one of the more successful ones. So I thank you with your presence here. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. President. As indicated, we will take 5 questions. I will take one at a time. We will request the President to respond. We'll come back to the other. I will also request your indulgence to understand that there's a lot of you, so we'll try and be as representative as possible. Peter, I know that your hand was up first, so you'll go first. I'll request that perhaps our next question could come from somebody, maybe from outside the country, if there are. If you could take the microphone to Mr. Fabricus, please introduce yourself and the media organization you represent.
Thank you, Gisela. Mr. President, I'm Peter Fabricius from the Daily Maverick. Could you tell us, please, there was a report in the Turkish media to say that President Erdogan was going to ask you for some help in dealing with the so-called Gülenists in this country, possibly extraditing them and so on. Did he ask you this? And if I may ask what your response was, thank you.
Mr. President, would you like to respond, or should I take another?
Oh, you can take another question.
Okay. Could I have a microphone? I'm looking for an unfamiliar face. Microphone in front, the gentleman. There's a microphone, sir.
Mr. President, Brian Sokutu from The Citizen. I was just wondering whether you could take us through some of the discussions that you had, bilaterals, with your counterparts, and what the status of the nuclear deal is.
Thank you very much, Mr. Sokutu. I'll take the lady in the orange.
Hi, I'm a journalist from China Central Television. I'm just wondering, what do you think China can contribute to BRICS countries and other developing countries and emerging economies in their efforts to seize the opportunity provided by the 4th Industrial Revolution? Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Hand the microphone to the gentleman in front of you. Thank you.
Mr. President, Helmer Price from the BRICS Post. If you add in all the other representatives who were here, how much in terms of population and GDP would that encompass?
Thank you for our final question. In front of you, Shadi. Thank you. I do apologize.
Thank you. Sofia Grabankina, Sputnik News, a Russian news agency. Is South Africa still open to the possibility of a nuclear power deal with Russia in the near future? And if so, what would such a deal entail? Thank you.
Okay, because that question has been asked, I'll take one last one in a different iteration. The lady in the blue has had her hand up for a while.
Thank you, Mr. President. Fifi from CNBC Africa. In supporting China, so are you not worried that South Africa may lose out on its relationship with the US?
Thank you very much, Mr. President. Over to you.
Thank you very much, Peter, or Mr. Peter Fabricius. We had a bilateral, a very good bilateral with President Erdogan of Turkey. As you know, South Africa and Turkey have had relations for a very long time, and we are trading partners. We discussed a variety of issues, including how we can increase trade between our two countries and the type of projects that we can embark upon and benefit from the good relations between our two countries. Yes, President Erdogan did take time to brief us about their own situation in Turkey, including the security situation and how they are dealing with it, and did raise the fact that this organization that attempted a coup in Turkey is spread throughout the world. And he just said, we're just letting you know that they are operating in many countries in the world. And that's where our discussions ended on this. And we said, we note what you are saying, and we focus more, Mr. Fabricius, on the trade links between us, the economic development that we can foster. And we're going to be seeking to upgrade the binational commission between our two countries to presidential level. And we will then be able to have line of sight of a whole number of issues that may come up in the relationship as we proceed ahead. So we've agreed that we're going to have a firmer relationship that is going to advance largely the economic interests of both countries. Mr. Sokoto, yes, we had a number of bilaterals, and Brics is a gathering of countries, and when we do include the plus and the outreach, it just becomes, if you like, a festival of bilaterals, where many participants are able to hold bilaterals. And as South Africa, we held a lot of bilaterals, in fact, bilaterals with all the BRICS countries, with a number of the plus countries and the outreach countries. Yes, we held a bilateral with Russia, and we discussed our level of cooperation. We found, and pleasantly for me as well, that the number of areas where we cooperate with Russia is quite extensive. It includes investments in mining, it includes investments in a whole number of things, equipment making, and there's a desire also on their part to be involved in things like truck building, truck making, and many others. The issue of nuclear also came up, and they wanted to know where we are in relation to a nuclear program, and we gave them a clear, straightforward answer, which we have articulated publicly. And we said to them, as they know, our policy in terms of energy is to have a mixed energy type of policy. We will have energy sources that deal with fossil fuels, which is our coal. We'll have renewable energy. We will also have nuclear. We will have hydro. And that is the architecture of our energy policy and involvement going forward. On nuclear, we said, right now, because our economy is not operating at the level where we would like it to, and we've got huge financial constraints, we are not able to proceed with a nuclear build program. And President Putin was quite relaxed about this. He said, you know, you deal with your issues, and when the situation changes, we can keep talking about this. And that's where we left it. So there's no other hidden agenda. We were quite straightforward. I've spoken about this even in Davos, I spoke about it and said, right now, we are not able to afford any nuclear build program because it is quite expensive. We are having to deal with a number of urgent priorities in relation to the needs of our people, and that is what we are focusing on. And fortunately, right now, we still have an energy surplus. As our economy grows, we will then be able to reevaluate our situation going forward. So that answer was well accepted. What is it that China can contribute in terms of just economic growth, also to various other countries in Africa, including when it comes to the fourth industrial revolution? China is the second largest economy in the world. They have been growing by leaps and bounds, and admirably so. So they have a lot that they can do in support of emerging economies, much as they are also an emerging economy. And we like their political orientation that much as they are number 2 in the world, they are willing and prepared to support other economies to grow. So they want to contribute to skills development in a number of countries that they have dealings with, be it South Africa, be it a number of other countries on the African continent. On the fourth industrial revolution, we've agreed that we will work together to address the challenges that are given rise to by the fourth industrial revolution. We will focus on areas where we can cooperate and where one country can contribute more capacity than others. We would like that to happen. And as it turns out, China would be able to contribute quite a lot of capacity building efforts. So we will want to work with them. And in other areas, other countries will be able to contribute more. So we see the relationship between China and countries in Africa, and indeed emerging countries, as a mutually beneficial type of relationship. And that is why we base our relationships in BRICS as a win-win type of relationship architecture. It is not one country benefiting itself to the exclusion of others. So when it comes to the fourth industrial revolution, we will all have a role to play in helping each other to progress and to move forward. What is the GDP figure that was represented by all countries? We've only right now, this minute, done a proper calculation of the BRICS countries themselves. It's 22% of world GDP as represented by the 5 BRICS countries. We were not able to calibrate the full representation of all the countries that were, the 31 countries that were here. It should not be difficult to do so. I've answered the issue of the nuclear deal. Are we not worried? My sister from CNBC asks, are we not worried that the support that we are getting from BRICS will alienate us from the United States? All of us in BRICS are free countries. All of us are safeguarding our own sovereignty. We're independent countries, and all of us choose whomsoever we want to associate with. And as we associate together in BRICS, it is not to the exclusion of other countries in the world. And we want to associate with countries that will respect our sovereignty, our independence, and our choice. And in the end, we will not, none of us as part of BRICS will ever countenance or accept the fact that we should be told who our friends should be and who our enemies should be. We want to continue operating as completely independent and free countries. And it so happens that South Africa, as part of BRICS, we chose to be part of BRICS, and we're well accepted by the others, and we cooperate with all our partners. And that partnership is underpinned by very important principles. Principles of solidarity, principles of working together, principle of cooperating and mutual benefit. So we feel very comfortable in working together with the other four countries in BRICS, because our political orientation is very, very similar. We have agreed that we will continue with this level of cooperation, and it also enhances discussion when we meet as BRICS countries. And this morning we had a retreat just of the 5 leaders on our own with our foreign ministers. We were able to have heart-to-heart discussions on a number of issues, and we all got a sense that this enhances personal relationships amongst us as leaders, but it also forms a very good and strong foundation for the 5 countries to continue cooperating at many levels. And fortunately, this then becomes that firm foundation that enables us to cooperate at the cultural level, at people-to-people level, at the political, diplomatic level, as well as at the economic and trading level. You could not want a better association or forum than BRICS. And in the end, that is why the stature and the image of BRICS is continuing to grow. The fact that we had so many countries coming here was for us, in the first instance, as South Africa, a great honor that we were so well honored by all these countries to come. But it is also because of the attraction that BRICS has. BRICS has emerged as an important bloc in world affairs, and it's an important bloc for the global South, because our general approach to matters that impact on the lives of people in the world are largely similar. So we, as South Africa, are very fortunate to be part of this club of countries that are charging ahead to promote growth of their economies, but also to promote a very progressive multilateral global system. Thank you very much.
Chair of BRICS, Mr. President, thank you very much.